Hello, this is Jen, the Liberty Lion. Today is July 11th, 2022. I wanted to take a look at this 1891 Black's Law Dictionary, and this is going to be part of the state videos that I'm going to be uploading. In this first definition here, we see act of state. So I wanted to explain a little bit about my interpretation based on my experience in life working with the DoD, as well as the studying I've done. The studying I've done is independent. It's not led by any progressive college. Okay, so what I tell you is based on a whole variety of information that I've come across, and not just things that I was given by some college professors who belong to a progressive type college or university, though I do have a college degree. So here it says an act of state, and this is the phrase that is being defined. An act done by the sovereign power of a country or by its delegate within the limits of the power vested in him. An act of state cannot be questioned or made the subject of legal proceedings in a court of law. So when I see legal, I immediately think man-made, fictional. When it says sovereign, it's talking about the highest power. So sovereign means to reign over, the top reigning thing or person. So the sovereign is the top power of a country. In America, the sovereign are the people, and the people give some of that sovereignty to the state. The states together create a country. Okay, so when we see that an act of state cannot be questioned, you're talking about the natural power, the sovereign power, the natural authority, the authority in the natural state, which is the people. The people are born. They're born naturally. They are the highest power. They're of the natural law, which is capital T, the capital E, nature, or capital T, the capital L, law, as opposed to lowercase the law. Lowercase the law is man's law. Uppercase the law is natural law. It's the first law, the original. The original is the supreme, the sovereign, and it's always capitalized. Like when you're talking about God in the Bible and you say he, you capitalize it because he is the sovereign power in the Bible. So when it talks about the state, it's talking about the state created by the natural people and their natural power. That's the sovereign power. And it's not subject to things made by men and their courts, because this is like uppercase the law and this is lowercase the law. That would be like saying, and I'm not a deeply religious person. I do believe in God, but I believe in God in a different kind of way that most people do. But I still do believe in God. But when I say the creator or God, it's just the thing that you think it is. The one who created nature, the one who created the universe, the one who set the laws for how everything was going to work. Okay, physical matter. How the human being, how our human minds work, and all these things, how we evolve. It's all a creation of him, God, the sovereign power. So the creator's law is the highest law, and you wouldn't say that his law is subject to man's law. No, man's law is always subject to his law. So when it talks about the state, it's talking about the creator of the courts. So the creator of the courts are not then subject to the courts, because the creator of the courts were created by the people of the state. Okay, so that's like saying the state is sovereign and the courts are subject to the sovereign. So the state and then the courts. You can't then say that the courts are sovereign to the state, because now you have two sovereigns, and the courts are created by the state. And so that's like saying whatever you create controls you. That's the same thing as saying that the servant then is the master of his master. When ancient maxims, ancient laws, truths, they say that the master is always the master and the servant cannot ever make himself the master, which is basically what they've done to our Constitution and the idea of what a state is. They have decided that the independent states that created the federal government are then subject to it at its, arbitrary whims, which is arbitrary power. And if the federal government was given arbitrary power, we wouldn't need a constitution. And of course, we all know by now that we basically don't have one because they don't follow it. So this is my take on the definition of state. And the act of the state is not subject to the courts because the state created the courts. And what you create, you control. The state is the master over the courts. And so if the state wants the courts to act in a certain way, they have to write the laws, and then the courts obey those laws. So the state is sovereign, and its creation, the courts are lower sovereign, just like God is the sovereign to the human man. Okay, and then man is the sovereign over whatever he creates, including the state, which then creates the courts. Okay, just like the states, the independent states, are sovereign to the federal government because the independent states created the federal government, and then the federal government created posts, and those posts collectively make up the federal states. Okay, so really short video. This is number 2 on my series of videos on states. And of course, I'll give you my source, a dictionary of law containing definitions of the terms and phrases of American and English jurisprudence, ancient and modern, including the practical terms of international, constitutional, and commercial law, with a collection of legal maxims and numerous select titles from the civil law and other foreign systems, by Henry Campbell Black. 1891. This is a really good dictionary. You can probably find it on archive.org, which is where I get a lot of my books, especially the free ones that anybody can download. So if you want to find this book, see if you can find it there. It's 1891. Yes, 1891, Black's Law Dictionary. I think this is the first edition. Okay, so there you go. Enjoy.